The gender pay gap explained. The gender pay gap is the difference in the average hourly wage of all men and women across a workforce. If women do more of the less well-paid jobs within an organization than men, the gender pay gap is usually bigger. The gender pay gap reporting regulations. Large employers are legally required to publish gender pay gap data on their own website and on this government website. The rules are slightly different for employees in the public sector and those in the private and voluntary sectors. Public sector. Most public sector employers must follow the Equality Act 2010, Specific Duties and Public Authorities Regulations 2017. This includes most government departments, the armed forces, local authorities, NHS bodies, maintained schools and academy trusts and universities. The full list can be found in Schedule 2 of the regulations. If a public sector employer is not listed in Schedule 2, then they must report under the private and voluntary sector regulations. If a public sector employer listed in Schedule 2 has 250 or more staff on the 31st of March, then they must publish their data by the 30th of March of the following year. Private and voluntary sector. Private and voluntary sector employers must follow the Equality Act 2010, Gender Pay Gap Information Regulations 2017. Public sector employers not listed in Schedule 2 above must also follow these regulations. If a private or voluntary sector employer, or a public sector employer not listed in Schedule 2, has 250 or more employees on the 5th of April, they must publish their data by the 4th of April of the following year. Data that must be published. All employers with 250 or more employees must calculate and publish the following data: their mean gender pay gap, their median gender pay gap, their mean bonus gender pay gap, their median bonus gender pay gap, the proportion of men in the organization receiving a bonus payment, the proportion of women in the organization receiving a bonus payment, the proportion of men and women in each quartile pay band. Private and voluntary sector employers, and public sector employers not listed in Schedule 2, must also publish a written statement on their own website. The statement must confirm that the published information is accurate and must be signed by an appropriate senior person. The name and job title of that person must be published on this website. To avoid gender imbalances higher up in your organization, men and women need to apply for promotion in proportions that match the composition of men and women at grades below. For example, in a particular grade you might have 60% women and 40% men. In that case, the pool of candidates who apply for promotion from that grade to a more senior grade should also be 60% women and 40% men. If, for example, only 20% of the applicants were women, the gender imbalance would be more likely to worsen at the higher grade, meaning fewer women in senior roles and a bigger GPG. If women tend to enter your organization at more junior levels, or if women are less likely to be hired when they apply to join your organization at higher levels, this will impact your GPG. As part of GPG reporting, you need to report information about the proportion of men and women receiving bonuses. Under the Equality Act 2010, employers must also ensure they are providing equal compensation for equal work. Analyzing information about equal pay and bonuses can help you identify whether particular aspects of pay might be contributing to your GPG. Another aspect of pay that can contribute to the GPG is women having lower starting salaries than men doing similar jobs. This may be a problem for you if you allow negotiation of starting salaries, as some research has found that women are less likely to negotiate their pay than men, and that when women do negotiate their pay, they can be judged more harshly than men for doing so. These things mean that women's starting salaries might end up being lower than that of men doing the same job. Performance management scores can give you an indication of whether women and men are performing differently or being assessed differently. If there is a difference between performance scores, this can impact progression. More women than men work part-time because most caring responsibilities within the home are still taken on by women. Ensuring that part-time employees are well supported and are given opportunities to progress means that well-qualified, experienced women, and men who also take on caring responsibilities, are better able to keep participating in the workforce. Being able to care for others should be a choice open to both men and women, and is a core issue when it comes to gender equality. It is therefore worth reviewing your policies and considering your workplace culture to ensure that employees are supported to take on caring roles and responsibilities if they choose to.